Well, welcome everyone. This is Undisputed with Clay and Brenton. This is going to be episode 3 of season 2, 2019. So we had the Clash last weekend. We have the duels tomorrow. Probably the most notable, though, is going to be the Clash. We'll touch briefly on that. And then we have some picks for the Daytona 500. So, Clay, what do you think? Clash. Did Jimmy Johnson wreck Paul Menard? Or did Paul Menard block and wreck Jimmy Johnson? But even though he didn't get wrecked? What do you think? What happened?
I don't really think anybody wrecked anybody personally. I agree. I don't think Paul Menard came down on him to spin him out. But did Jimmy move up into him? Yeah, you could kind of tell when you watched the post race interview. Jimmy Johnson was, like, hey, he came down. And then you just heard a pause in his voice when he was watching the replay, as you could clearly see Jimmy's car moving into Paul Menard.
Yeah.
So, was it Jimmy's fault? Kind of. Was it racing? Kind of. Was there rain coming? Most definitely. Honestly, it was an aggressive move, but he timed it right. The rain was coming. He had to do what he had to do. Paul threw a good block on him and did what he had to do. I didn't really feel as that was any different than what Austin Dillon did to Eric Almirola last year in the 500. These guys get paid buku bucks to go out and win a race, and that's what they're going to go do. So, it sucks to be Paul Menard. He's that close, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to getting the checkered flag. So,
yeah, it does.
Yes, it was Jimmy Johnson's fault, but do I blame him? No. I think any of us in that position would have done the same thing. So, no harm, no foul in my book.
I completely agree. It's one of those scenarios where if it's racing, it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. I do think a lot of people determine the outcome of what happened based on certain angles of, like, if you watch it from the front side, it does kind of look more like Paul Menard came down, but that's only because his rear end is getting out. His rear end's heading toward the wall because he got with the air push from Johnson on the side. So it's weird on how all the camera angles make it look, and a lot of people are just upset about it. But I agree with you. It's racing. It looked more like it was on Jimmy, but if you're aggressive and you're going for the win, that's what they're paid to do. There's strategy involved. That's obviously what Chad Knaus was always known for. So now we have a whole different crew chief, and nobody's mad at the crew chief. It's Jimmy behind the wheel, so he's the one making that decision to aggressively side draft. Knows the rain is coming. I mean, it's all calculated. These guys know what they're doing, and it is what it is. So that ended up happening.
I agree, and Rick Hendrick doesn't pay his drivers to go ride around in circles and, be nice guys and, maybe get the win if everybody moves out of their way. He goes out, they're paid to go out there and win the race. I get the feeling when I watch NASCAR every week that we break down what's happened, on Race Hub or NASCAR America, whatever the show may be. We break down the racing way too much. It's racing. They go out there, they race, they make decisions in the heat of the moment, and sometimes it goes off without a hitch and sometimes they crash.
Absolutely.
That's why we watch. It's unpredictable. It's racing. That's why people watch it. So if you're gonna sit there and scold him for racing, then don't even watch it. Because
I completely agree.
Jimmy Johnson didn't win a race all season last year, but people still kind of have a chip on their shoulder about him because he's a, is he a 6 or 7-time champion now?
7.
I've almost track of his championships.
Yeah.
I mean, he's great, but he's kind of like Tom Brady in NASCAR. He's just he's so good that people are so quick to beat him up. If Dale Earnhardt Jr. had made that move on Paul Menard, everybody would have said, it's just a racing deal.
Yep, absolutely.
Dale deserved to move. It's just it's slanted and biased based on who the driver is, and I'm tired of it.
Yep, I agree.
We turn on the race to watch good action, good racing, and if a wreck happens, what are the first highlights that always come on the TV? The wreck.
The wrecks, yeah.
The drivers say that they don't want to see the wrecks; they just want to see good racing. But at plate tracks, wrecks are part of the racing. I'm sorry,
it is
that's what it is. That's what people watch. That's what sells. Stop trying to pick it apart. Stop trying to make a problem that isn't. Stop trying to make a problem out of something that's not a problem. Just let them race, and let what happens.
Yeah.
Our rules are ruining the sport.
I agree.
Some people wanted to see Jimmy Johnson penalized for racing. That just blows my mind.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like it's getting to be out of control, sort of. So it's more one of those things of like, at least it wasn't a single file, race. At least they were actually side by side toward the end there. So now that leads into the other thing. So like we have the duels coming up tomorrow. I honestly think those are going to be a snooze fest. I don't know if anybody's going to want to go out there and really race hard. Coming off the fact of the Clash and knowing that the Daytona 500 is coming up, NASCAR is in a sticky situation. I don't think the drivers even want to touch that either. I mean, like we talked a little bit off the show real fast that it's probably going to be the only action will be if somebody just makes a mistake and wrecks part of the people. So I really think almost the duels at this point are almost they're just going to happen because it's part of the schedule. But I think most of the focus is going to be on the Daytona 500, and if that can deliver the result that people want. I think you and I are under the very different impression than most people, is we just want to see a race, and it doesn't matter who does what, because that's what we're in essence paying to watch. We're going to see. So I mean, everybody else can, that's why we have our show. Everybody else can dispute us, but I feel like we're on the same page. We're undisputed, so win on our end.
Yeah. I think there's always a possibility for any NASCAR race to be a snooze fest. I mean, we saw more than we wanted to last year of snooze fest.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I hate to say it, but I might have to disagree on tomorrow night being one, just because I've watched the last couple of duels in recent years, ever since I've been able to watch them on FS1, and they've been pretty good. There's been a lot of action involved, and pit stall positions, and starting spot in the Daytona 500 is important to these drivers. Not really for the starting position, but like I said, for the pit box number. They want to be able to get in and out of pit road at the place of their liking. So, is it worth wrecking the whole field over? No. But, I do expect to see some decent racing involved. And let's be honest, anytime you add somebody like Austin Dillon or Ricky Stenhouse or any of those guys into a race, it's almost a given that one of them's going to mess up and do something stupid.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's very fair. Yep.
So, while the good drivers and the ones you expect to just ride around and play it safe tomorrow night probably will, doesn't mean they're not going to get caught up in the web of some moron.
That's true. That's very true.
Probably, and that's number 17.
I was going to say, yep, that's more than likely what's going to end up happening is somebody's night's going to get ruined because somebody else wrecked it. So, all right. So speaking of that, we're gonna skip obviously even though it probably will be good. You're right. You're convincing me. It probably won't be a snooze fest. It'll be interesting tomorrow. But it's true. I don't know. It's
why we're
racing. Lying. Yep. But so you came up with some ideas for the Daytona 500 and some picks that we can make. So I'll let you introduce those categories, and then we will make our picks.
Yeah, so I thought we'd do something a little bit different for the 500 and give each other a few different opportunities to pick the right driver for different categories. So for the 500, we're going to pick our Stage 1 winners, our Stage 2 winners, and the actual winner of the race. And as usual, we will pick our long shot. So, Brenton, would you like to start first, or would you like me to go first?
I would love to go first. I can go first. All right. So stage one. I am going to go stage one. Ford Camp, Stuart Haas with Eric Almirola.
Your go-to.
Yeah. I think he's came out strong. I think he can do it. It's obviously it's just a really. I mean, this race is going to be so unpredictable. So I'm just going to go with a go-to on that one. And I think he's strong. He's coming off momentum. I'm going to go with Eric Almirola.
Solid pick.
Do you want me to go through the whole thing, or do you want me to go? We want to toss it back and forth.
Let's toss it back and forth.
All right.
In case we
Sounds
pick
good.
the same people.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're off to a good start. For my stage one winner, I'm going to stay in the Ford camp as well, but not Stuart Haas. And this one pains me to say because I hate to see them do well. But anytime you come to a plate track, Penske is always there. Originally, Brad Keselowski was my stage one winner pick, but
I really thought you were going to say that. I really did.
I almost feel as though Joey Logano is a little bit better at plate tracks than his teammate. He's surpassed him. The student has become the master.
That is a good point.
My stage one winner is I feel as though Joey Logano is going to come to the front and probably lead the front for a good portion of the early stages in the race, and he's going to take stage one.
Okay, that's actually a strong stage one choice. Man, this is good. This is interesting. This is going to be good. All right, so stage two for me is a really random, but I have a really quick logic behind it. I picked. And this might even be the right person. This is the sad part. I picked stage two winner, Chris Buescher.
Interesting.
I did. The only reason I did that is because I watched another NASCAR podcast earlier today, and he played the NASCAR 2019. And apparently NASCAR 2019 has done ridiculously well at picking the winners or stage winners of the Daytona 500, and Buescher, I believe, was one of those stage winners today. So I was like, I'm going to go with artificial intelligence and see if I'd be happy if Chris Buescher shows up in any of the things, but he's my stage two winner. It's a complete random, but I'm gonna give it a shot.
Well, that is an interesting logic, and at Daytona, I think artificial intelligence is probably just as good a bet as any.
It's true. It's probably about the same as regular intelligence. Yeah.
Well, I wish I was that creative. For my stage two pick, I switched it over to the Hendrick and Chevy camp. I feel as though Hendrick's gonna, have a strong presence in the day. I don't feel as though they're gonna win. But I do think that they'll have a strong presence in the day. I feel like around middle of the end of stage two, Chase Elliott's going to find his way to the front.
That's safe.
Chase is a good blocker. He'll find his way to the front. He'll hold the lead, take stage two.
That's fair. I literally was thinking of Chase potentially for stage one. He was very hard not to pick. I really wanted to put him somewhere on the chart. So it leads to a winner, and this is going to be, I would say it's biased because I like the number 18, but I really do hope that Kyle Busch can get in the winner's circle. If he can avoid some wrecks, I know anybody's got a shot, but it would be really cool to see Kyle win, and I think he could do it. I don't really see, like you said, the Hendrick camp completely winning potentially. They'll be strong, but I don't know if they'll make it all the way considering they're starting all top four. So I'm going to go with Kyle as the winner. It would be a really cool cap. It's a Toyota. It's strong, but I mean, it's anybody's race. So
it is. Well, I've been thinking about my winner for a while, and just watching him on social media, watching the way he's run, in practice and in the Clash, and so on and so forth. He just seems to have a different approach to Daytona than usual. He seems to have a different level of confidence. He's made several attempts and he's come close several times. I just really have a strong feeling that he's going to find his way to victory lane finally this year. He seems very confident. He's starting in the lucky number 13 position. He is in the Toyota camp. And Brenton, if your guy wins, we're both going to be happy because I'm going with the number 18.
You're going with 18? Okay. That's cool.
Kyle was actually my pick. I've been thinking about him probably all week. I don't know if you saw his picture on social media. I think it was Instagram of him and Samantha and Braxton all looking decked out in their swag outfits heading to Florida.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but he just seems to be a level of confidence this year that nobody is. And I have a really good feeling about him. I feel like he's this. If any year is going to be the year he pulls it off, this is it.
Yeah, I agree, and that's a solid pick. I mean, I agree for those whole reasons. I actually was thinking about it all week as well.
Brenton, he's won literally just everything else you can win. This is the last thing on his list.
Yeah. So and if anybody has proven that they could do it, it's him. He's been there. It's normally just been really small things that have just taken him out of contention.
Right, and he's a heck of a plate racer too. I think he's just had bad luck at the 500.
Yeah,
not even at Daytona. He's won the shootout. I feel like he's even won the Coke Zero 400 before as well.
Yeah. Yep.
But the 500 just bad luck.
Yeah.
So I feel like this might be the year that
he finally gets it. It snaps, yeah. And hopefully that momentum will carry out through the rest of the year, though. That's for me. I'd hope he win another championship out of it. But it's always hard because Austin Dillon did it last year and he went nowhere. So
yeah, but Austin Dillon also sucks.
Yeah,
Jimmy Johnson won the Daytona 500 in 2013 and went on to win a seventh championship.
That's a good point.
A lot of it depends on the driver.
Yeah, and that's a good point.
Don't see Kyle stalling after a Daytona 500 win.
No, not really. All right, so that goes to the long shot, and I'm a creature of habit. I cannot kick out of these.
Wait. Let me guess.
Okay.
Let me guess. Paul Menard.
Yes! I'm such a creature of habit. It's only for this race. I've just got to kick on him. You'll probably see this routine come back around Talladega, but until then, he won't be hitting my charts until Talladega again.
It's not crazy. It's not crazy. I mean, you saw his performance in the Clash. He's good.
Yeah, it's possible.
It was a lottery that he started on the pole, but dude, he led the whole thing.
I was gonna say he held his own, and if you figure the fact of even if he's starting in midfield, okay, if you can just avoid wrecks and hang on, there's a good chance that you'll end up in the by the end of the race you can end up in the top 10 and make a huge run. So it's possible.
Definitely, and I saw the draft seem to be a little more effective in the Clash than in recent years. So. Why I don't think you'll see the two-car tandem ever come back, or at least in the near future. I do think that you're going to see the draft, be a little more effective. See guys be able to push to the front a little better, particularly if they can get formed up and try. My long shot for the 500. I don't feel as though he's that far of a long shot. The only thing that concerns me about him is the odds of RCR winning back-to-back Daytona 500s. But
gotcha.
This guy has been really good in the Xfinity Series. Solid, very solid. He's coming in on his first year in the Cup Series, having the number 8, starting 5th. I not only think he could, be a long shot, but I would also like to see Daniel Hemric win the Daytona.
All right. That's a safe man.
He's got the power. He's starting fifth.
He does.
I know it's just qualifying, but he was fast in both rounds, and he beat a lot of people to get fifth.
Absolutely. So. No, and that's definitely when you've got the ability and you've got that drive out. I mean, like he's a rookie. I mean that he's gonna claw for every inch that he can get, and he wants to prove himself. So he's out with. I wouldn't say he's out with a vendetta, but he is out to prove that he can do this. So
definitely. And just a side note, I do have a positive outlook on our pole sitter. I think William Byron's going to do well Sunday, and I think he's going to be great all season. But I see a wreck taking William Byron out of contention for that win.
That's fair. I actually think the same thing. Like I said, having all 400 cars up front, I don't think that's going to be off-putting for the rest of the season. I do think that shows that they'll be strong no matter what. But I agree. I don't think any of the guys are going to perform to the highest winning capability. But I do think that some of them they'll be sprinkled across the top 10, and either or they're just unfortunately going to get stuck in a wreck. That I completely agree. So, all right. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Clay and I have made our picks for the Daytona 500 happening this Sunday. We will be updating you on those things when we go and make our show next week as well. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this. Let us know what you think. Let us know if our picks are crazy. Let us know your picks. We'd like to hear some other things. And thanks for watching this episode of Undisputed.
Let's go racing.
Let's go racing. You bet.